Have you ever witnessed a moment so unexpected, so heart-shaking, that it rewrote the meaning of family right before your eyes? Today's story is one of those moments, a simple question from a lonely little girl that collided with the broken heart of a single dad, and what happened next became something that changed Christmas forever. Before we begin, if you believe kindness still exists in this world, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us share more life-changing true kindness tales. It was the kind of December evening where the air tasted like snow and the streets glowed gold beneath strings of trembling Christmas lights. Daniel, a 32-year-old single dad, walked quietly beside his 7-year-old son, Noah, who kicked the thin layer of snow with restless energy. Ever since Daniel's wife passed away 3 years ago, the world had become a softer, smaller place, where holidays were something they survived rather than celebrated. But tonight, while waiting outside a tiny toy shop for Noah, Daniel noticed a little girl, maybe 6, small enough that her hat slipped over her eyebrows, standing alone beside a lamppost. She was hugging a threadbare teddy bear so tightly its faded ear looked ready to come off. Daniel glanced around, searching for a parent, a guardian, anyone, but the street was oddly empty except for distant laughter from shoppers. The girl lifted her eyes, deep and lonely, the kind that carried questions no child should hold. When she stepped toward him, he lowered his head slightly to offer a gentle smile, not wanting to scare her. "Hi," she whispered, voice trembling as if each word cost more than she could afford. "Hi there," Daniel replied softly. "Where's your mom or dad?" The little girl swallowed, looked down, then up again, as though mustering courage from some tiny brave place inside her heart. "My mom is sick," she said. "And my dad, he left long ago." Her voice cracked, but still she continued, "We were at the hospital, but they told me I had to wait outside for a bit. I didn't want to be alone, so I followed the lights." Daniel felt an ache squeeze his chest. He'd felt that kind of lost before, the kind where the world is too big and you are too small. He knelt down. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" The girl hesitated, then took one small step closer, clutching her bear. And then she said the words, fragile, trembling, and impossibly heavy, "Can you be my dad for Christmas?" Time froze. Even the air stopped moving. Daniel blinked, stunned, unsure if he heard her right. Noah poked his father's arm and whispered, "Dad, she looks sad." The little girl nodded quickly, tears gathering like tiny crystals on her lashes. "I don't want presents," she added. "I just want someone to stay with me. Just for today. Just for Christmas." Daniel's throat tightened as memories flooded, of Christmases spent trying to smile for Noah, of nights wishing for help he never received, of promises he made to himself about never turning away a child in need. But saying yes felt heavy. Saying no felt cruel. Before he could speak, his son stepped forward, placed his small gloved hand in the girl's, and said, "You can be with us." "My dad helps people." Daniel felt tears he didn't expect burn behind his eyes. In that moment, everything shifted. This was no longer a simple question. It was a plea, a lifeline, a chance to do something that mattered. And maybe, a chance for healing he didn't know he needed. And so, with snow drifting around them like falling wishes, Daniel whispered, "Come on, sweetheart, let's go find your mom together." And that became the beginning of a Christmas he would never forget. As the three of them walked toward the hospital, the little girl, whose name they learned was Emily, held Daniel's hand with the kind of fragile trust that made him swallow hard. She spoke in soft bursts, telling them about her mother, Grace, who had been battling a severe illness for months, leaving Emily in the care of temporary neighbors who weren't always around. Daniel listened, each word scraping something inside him that had long been dormant. He remembered the days when grief made every breath feel like carrying a mountain. He remembered how Noah waited outside hospital rooms holding a crayon drawing that would never be seen by the mother he missed. Emily's story mirrored their own pain, but in the reflection, Daniel saw something more, a chance to be the kind adult he once needed. When they entered the hospital, the cold fluorescent lights replaced the warmth of Christmas streets, but Emily's grip on Daniel's fingers only tightened. The nurse recognized her instantly. "Emily, sweetheart, your mom has been asking for you." Daniel expected the nurse to question why Emily arrived with strangers, but instead she gave him a grateful smile, as if she already knew. They entered Grace's room, and for a moment the world seemed to shrink into that small, quiet space. Grace lay pale, breathing shallowly, but her eyes brightened when she saw her daughter. Emily rushed to her bedside. "Mom, I found someone. I found them." Grace's gaze moved to Daniel and Noah. Her expression softened, filled with silent understanding. "Thank you," she mouthed. Daniel shook his head gently. "We just wanted to help." Grace reached out and touched his hand weakly. "You have no idea how much this means. I've been so scared for her. She's so little, and I'm so tired." Hearing that broke something in him. This woman, complete stranger, had been fighting to stay alive for her daughter, and here he was, someone who knew exactly what it felt like to watch someone you love slip away inch by inch. Noah sat beside Emily, comforting her with gentle words he'd learned through his own grief. Grace watched the two children and whispered, "She asked you, didn't she?" Daniel nodded slowly. Grace closed her eyes briefly, tears rolling down her cheeks. "She wants a family. She wants safety. I'm afraid I won't be able to give her enough time." Her voice cracked with pain, not just physical, but the pain of a mother terrified of leaving her child alone in the world. Daniel sat for a long moment, torn between the ghosts of his past and the possibility of something new. Finally, he said quietly, "No child should face Christmas without someone by their side. We're not going anywhere tonight." Grace exhaled a shaky breath, relief mingled with gratitude. They spent hours together, decorating the hospital room with paper snowflakes the children made, humming soft Christmas tunes, sharing memories that made Grace smile weakly through her exhaustion. For the first time in years, Daniel felt warmth settling back into the cracks of his heart. Emily climbed onto his lap at one point and whispered, "You're really nice. I wish we could stay with you more." Daniel felt his breath hitch. He didn't reply, not yet. But in that moment, as he wrapped his arms around her small frame, he knew something deep inside him was beginning to change. Christmas morning arrived quietly in the hospital, the world outside wrapped in thick snow while the inside glowed faintly with soft string lights Daniel and Noah had brought. Grace's condition worsened overnight, and doctors explained gently that she might not have long. Emily curled beside her mother, whispering stories about snowflakes and teddy bears and the two people she had met who made her feel safe. Grace held her daughter's hand with fading strength, her gaze searching for Daniel. When their eyes met, she spoke in a trembling voice, "If anything happens to me, please don't let her be alone." The words hung heavily, carrying the weight of a mother's final hope. Daniel swallowed hard, every memory of losing his wife flooding back. He had spent years afraid to open the parts of his heart that once loved fiercely. But Emily, tiny, brave Emily, had walked into his life like a quiet miracle, reminding him that family wasn't something fate handed you. Sometimes it was something you chose. He took Grace's hand in his and whispered, "I will protect her. I promise." Grace smiled, a small, peaceful smile, and with her daughter resting against her, she closed her eyes. Later, when the soft beep of the monitor slowed, Emily cried silently into Daniel's chest, and he held her as though holding his own grief one more time. The hospital felt both still and sacred. Daniel knew the world had changed for them all in that moment. Over the next few days, Daniel stayed by Emily's side, handling paperwork, comforting her through long nights, and reminding her that she was not alone. Noah became her shadow, playing with her, offering his favorite toys, telling her jokes just to make her smile. One snowy afternoon, as they left the hospital after final arrangements, Emily tugged on Daniel's sleeve. Her voice was small but steady. "Does your house have space for one more person?" Daniel knelt down, meeting her hopeful eyes. "Yes," he said softly. "If you want to come with us, if you want us to be your family, then yes. Always." Emily threw her arms around him, crying into his coat. Noah joined the hug, wrapping both of them with childlike sincerity. That evening, they set up a makeshift Christmas at home with leftover decorations and warm cocoa. Emily sat between Daniel and Noah as they lit a small candle in memory of Grace, letting its soft glow fill the living room. They were no longer three separate souls carrying their individual sorrows. They were a new family, unexpected, imperfect, but real. And when Emily whispered, "Thank you for being my dad for Christmas," Daniel hugged her tightly and replied, "I'm your dad for every day from now on." And so, the question that once froze his heart became the moment that saved them all. True kindness had brought three broken hearts together, and built a home. If this story touched your heart today, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue sharing more inspiring true kindness tales.